So we're going to discuss all the grips that are available to you and how they can benefit your playing. There will be the German, the Swiss, the American, some traditional, and you find out what's most comfortable for you. First, we're going to look at the German grip. With the German grip, it's basically your palm is straight down. Okay? One thing I do like about the German grip is it helps for the whole range of motion, because you can see the wrist just moves that much freer. Get greater stick height. It's got a lot of benefits because of the range of motion. Next, we're going to look at the French grip. With the French, coming from the German, you just bend your palm slightly like that, so the thumb is pointing up. This will be your French grip. I really like this grip because when I'm trying to get more bounces happening, maybe I'm doing a jazz thing or a multiple bounce roll, it's really nice having a bit more thumb to just push it down a little bit more. With the French, it's a little bit more limiting for range of motion than, say, the German, but I find the hand itself, yes, has limited range of motion as opposed to the German, but when you put your stick in your hand, your tip still comes way up there, so you still got actually quite a bit of motion. When you talk about damaging your wrist, it's not so much on the hand angle as it is how you grab the stick. If you grab it too tight, the vibrations will come right up into your wrist and cause severe problems. So I don't care if you hold like this, like this, like this, do whatever you want, just be relaxed. That's the main thing. Now we're going to look at the Swiss grip. Some people refer it to as American. It is slightly turned out. So with the German, it's palm down. French, thumbs up, straight up like this. The Swiss is roughly in between. I like this grip because I find it really facilitates more finger control for myself, and it's more in my natural hand angle. Remember how we talked about that earlier? Just the hand resting by the side and then pulling it up. My natural hand angle is more in a Swiss position. Some people, they hang a little bit more German, some a bit French. You got to find that position that is natural for you. Generally speaking, we'll always play out of our natural grip because as kit players, you just move around. If you're a pipe band player and you're just in one position, I can see how you just stay with one grip. But as kit players, we're all over the place. So it's nice to become comfortable with all of these grips, and that way, again, you will maximize your potential as a musical player. Now let's look at the traditional grip. The way the traditional grip started was before we even had drum sets. There were drummers that would play in bands, marching bands, and they'd have the drum on their side. It's not like today with their fancy get-ups in front. They would have it on the side. So instead of them playing match grip like this, they developed the traditional grip. Hence the name, it's a tradition. It just made it a lot easier and made more sense than this. And then I got adapted to drum set playing. I like what Neil Peart said. He said, if this was a superior grip, we'd play both of them this way. And, you know, I know Simon Phillips does and that, but it's not the norm. So as being superior than the other, it's, I'm not really convinced of that. I haven't found anyone that has really convinced me that this is a better grip. I was told by my high school band teacher, you know, play this way because it develops more control and coordination. And I was like, you know, young drummer, of course you want more control and coordination. So I was playing that way, and I would angle my snare and everything like that and just got right into it. But as I got playing longer and getting more advanced, I had more stuff around the kit, and it just seemed really awkward to get around, and I didn't have the finesse that I could have just in the match. There are a few advantages that I find with the traditional grip. When you're playing low, I find it much easier to control that. Then in the match, you have to control the wrist a little bit more. But in this position, I find the muscles that are engaged are not as many as in here. So when it comes to louder strokes, I find it easier to do match. You can get the volume with the traditional. It's just by the quickness of the snap. But again, I find this easier. You have to find what is easiest for you. It'll make your playing that much more musical. There are a lot of great drummers that use this grip. You got Marvin Smitty Smith, you got Steve Smith, Steve Gadd, Dave Weckl, Vinnie Colaiuta, Buddy Rich used it, Neil Peart is using it. You know, I can't say don't play this way. They've got some great stuff going on, and I love what they do. I find for myself, it's more limiting than beneficial, so you need to really assess what you want to do. Some people like it because it looks cool, and it does. But the extra hours I find I need to practice to get this and this working is not as beneficial for me. I prefer to stick with one grip and practice other things. Tony Williams said, well, we should learn how to play both grips, and I can see his point, because when I play this way, I feel different. So it makes me play a little bit different, makes me sound more diverse as a player. That's great too. But I find the benefits of playing like this as opposed to this. If I want to feel different in my playing, I can spend the time practicing this, different feels, as opposed to practicing this with all my wrist, fingers, bounce techniques. Myself, when I'm in this position, I find this shoulder drops. And I'm a little bit less comfortable. You can correct that by turning your snare on an angle. It'll put you up. But then I find when I get to the toms, I have the same problem. This hand is sitting up nicely, easy to hit a rim shot. This one right away, you can see is on an angle like that. And if the tom is on an angle like that, puts it on the surface like that, which makes it harder to bounce, because you want it to be horizontal with your surface for optimum bounce. So when in doubt, think critically. Will this work for me? Is this going to be something that'll help you get to that next level? If it does, just dive in and have fun and experiment.